Hello everyone. In this video, we'll try to understand why not Flask in the production and how to overcome that problem, right? So we know, right? So when we run the Flask application, right, we used to get this warning. This is a development server. Do not use it in the production deployment. Why? Because it can't handle more than one request at a time. For example, if you're getting 5 requests at a time or 100 requests at a time, right? So how many requests you get? Your Flask can handle only one request at a time. Obviously, because of this, it cannot scale, right? Why there's a concept called blocking and non-blocking functions, right? So where when you come to the Flask, it is like a blocking function. So if one request comes, that particular function will be blocked to serve that particular request, right? So it cannot process the second request until unless that first request processing is completed, right? So the alternate solution or the overcome to this particular problem is Gunicorn or Gunicorn, right? So if you see here, I said to my Gunicorn, a Gunicorn, let's call it Gunicorn, right? Hey, you know what? In my case, for this particular application, I may get 5 requests at a time. So I'll tell Gunicorn that I may get 5 requests at a time. So what it does is it already started the 5 instance of this Gunicorn. Each Gunicorn, the instance will call one Flask application, which will internally call our business logic. It can be a machine learning or anything else, right? So if I want to do this, it's not that complex. It's very straightforward, right? Did you see this? Unicorn, how many workers I need? Here we need 5 workers, right? Which means it can handle 5 requests at a time. In the place of 5, if you keep 100, it can handle 100 requests at a time. What happens if you get 1 or 10 requests, right? The remaining 10 requests, it will keep it in a queue. As soon as one of the request is completed out of 100, the remaining request will be processed, right? Let's say out of 100 requests, maybe the 3 requests is completed, right? So what happened? The remaining request, 10 requests, which is there in the queue, from there it will take the 3 requests and process it, right? And the remaining 7 requests, it will do in the same process, right? So, and this is your, the Python code and colon app. What is app? We'll just try to understand in some time. And we are saying this particular REST API will be running on 5001 port. It's very straightforward, right? So in the place of usually, right? So we directly expose the Gunicorn REST API. Instead, we can use Nginx server, right? That will act as a reverse proxy engine, right? But most of the cases, it is really not required until unless you're using web applications. If you're exposing the plain REST API, so I don't feel Nginx is required here. So I can simply expose the REST API. So any HTTP client, right? It can be the another Python code, a mobile application, web application can simply trigger your REST API. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the Linux putty and see how it works, right? Did you see? See now this is your Python code predict underscore sentiment. And what is this app? Let me show you. Let me open this code, right? So we know we initialized app, right? Equal to flash in the brackets underscore name underscore, right? So app is the, in this whole, see, you can name anything. So I name it app. Maybe I can name it some other name. So here I'm saying app.run, right? Now this app.run is a Flask related one where it will make sure your this particular method is a blocking, which means it can serve only one request at a time. Now I'm saying, boss, this particular app, right, can serve maybe 100 requests at a time, 500 requests at a time. That is totally depends on this, the number you mention here. If you see here, I said just worker equal to 1, right? Let me run this. Did you see? It created one instance, right? Let me stop and maybe this time let me keep worker equal to 3. So when you say worker equal to one, it can serve only one request at a time. Did you see? It created three instances here. Where when you say worker equal to one, you have only one, right? So which means you can simply put how many requests you may get with 100,000, 1 lakh, whatever, right? So you can mention that and just run it. That's it. That's straightforward. It's not that complex as you think, right? Maybe let me run this again, right? You can simply test from your Postman tool. Yeah, I got the negative. So you can see the logs are getting printed here. Obviously, right, printing logs is definitely not in good option in the real time in the production. I'm just printing it for my debugging purpose, right? So the very important point to consider is number of workers you need and this particular bind, which port your this particular REST API is running on. It is always good to give 0.0.0 because so wherever you run this, instead of this, it will take that system IP, right? That's the benefit of the four zeros. And this is your Python code. And as I told you, this app is nothing but whatever the variable you initialize in our code as a Flask. So I said app as my Flask object here, right? And that's why I said app.run here. Did you see this? The one which I highlighted, right? So hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.